The other day, I put out a poll asking what you guys wanted to see for the next top 5 video, and you guys voted for top 5 easiest factions in Total War. Now, this is my opinion. I tried to be as objective as possible, though I haven't played all the games in the series, like Friends of Britannia and Troy. I haven't played Three Kingdoms very much because I got bored of it within, like, less than, 5 hours. But, excluding those games, these are the top 5 easiest factions in my opinion. So, let's get into it. Coming in the number 5 spot for the easiest campaigns in Total War is the UK in Empire Total War. Now, the biggest reason for the UK being so easy is because the AI is stupid. One, they'll almost never invade you because you're an island, and them doing naval invasions doesn't happen a ton. Unless you're not playing as UK, then they'll do it. But even if they do invade, you're easily able to drive them back into the sea. It's not a big issue. Their mission to incorporate the 13 colonies is one of the best because of how much money you'll just make from over here. It's also not that hard to do. Pretty easy. In addition to the fact that Great Britain has the best navy in the game, debatably, and you're able to take full advantage of all the trade nodes scattered throughout the map and make a buttload of cash that way. Also, you're able to basically eliminate France on turn 2, regardless of what difficulty you're on, at the very latest turn 3. And how you do that is you go to your diplomacy, talk to France. Now, you will have to do a public order in France and hold it, which isn't really that hard. But you do have to keep that in mind. You go to France, offer them a trade agreement, offer to give them the seasoning, don't take their technology. You go military access for 5 turns apiece. And then you can go regions. You're going to trade Ireland for Alsace-Lorraine, which you might be thinking, Muir, why would you do this? Well, it's honestly really good to do it. So what you're going to do is you're going to offer them 2,500 for 20 turns. And they're going to accept this. Now, why did we do that? Well, reason number 1 is because even if you don't declare war on France right off the bat, Spain and the Netherlands basically will over Belgium, and you'll both be pulled into it anyway and end up at war with each other. Also, because you have military access, your army in Ireland doesn't move, so you're able to move in really quickly and retake the city. So you got Alsace-Lorraine for free. You do have to hold it, which isn't a big issue. And if you don't offer them military access, which is arguably better, this army won't be outside Strasbourg. And essentially, another thing you can do, if you don't use all your movement, you can do the movement bug. And essentially, eliminate France on turn 1. As long as you have a unit with movement speed, you should be able to eliminate France on turn 1. I messed up doing it, but at the very latest, you're able to do it on turn 3. And honestly, that is what makes it really easy to get it done. And you're also able to take Belgium if the Netherlands doesn't get it first. So, moving on, let's get into the number 4 slot of the easiest faction in Total War. Alright, the number 4 spot is the Romans in general in Rome Total War, but more specifically the Bruttii. Now, why is the Bruttii easier than doing the Senate if you mess with the files and unlock it for yourself, or the Scipii or the Julii? It's because of its expansion, or ease of expansion to the east, and you get full access to all the wonders of the world. Specifically, the Colossus at Rhodes, which increases all naval trade by 40%, so you're able to make a lot of money. You also have, in close proximity to you, the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, the Temple of Artemis, and the Statue of Zeus. Also, the Eastern Mediterranean is the richest part of the map. And you're able to get to there basically before any of the other Roman factions. The Julii have Gaul, Germany, and up here to expand to pretty quickly. Usually they tend to stick to Gaul because they have to eliminate that for their victory. The Scipii can take Carthage, which is one of, if not the richest city in the game, but apart from that, they don't have a whole lot of expansion routes besides Sicily. Which, if you're lucky, you can come down here and snipe Syracuse also, if you choose to wait on taking Apollonia. And you're able to take all of Greece, Turkey, and dominate the Eastern Mediterranean pretty easily. The only parts where you might have to compete is with the Julii expand this way and take like Bilazorov to get there quick, or Salona. But honestly, you're able to do it fairly quick, and because of how much sheer amount of money you're able to make, the endgame civil war is a lot easier to deal with. And with that being said, let's get into the number 3 pick. Alright, next up on our list is Rome in Total War Rome 2, specifically using the House of Cornelia. Because playing as the House of Cornelia, you get minus 50% upkeep for auxiliary units. So Riorii off the bat is really good to help you expand and deal with the Etruscans really quickly on any difficulty. And because of it being minus 50%, there's ways to get to where your auxiliary infantry, for example, can cost 9 upkeep. Now, during this campaign, I wasn't able to get there due to generals dying, but I do have all the technology research that lower your upkeep. And I got mine down with level 1 armor down to 50, which is just ridiculous. I didn't spend a whole lot of time optimizing my economy during this campaign, so I did this campaign specifically for this video. And I'm still making 15,000 per turn. Taxes are on normal. We have a lot of trade going, which also helps. On top of the fact that we have a lot of money. We have 51,000. And because you have so much money, even on legendary difficulty, which granted this is not on legendary, you're able to maintain your political parties if you're playing with them and you're not using a mod like I'm going to start doing. That removes this because this is tedious and annoying, and let's be honest, it should have been a better system. But I'm not going to rant on Rome 2 politics in this video. So let's move on to the number 2 spot for the easiest factions to play as in any Total War. Alright, coming in the number 2 spot for the easiest factions to play in Total War is the Turks Medieval 2. Now, England is a really close second runner-up faction to play as. But the Turks just have some things that's better, especially in the early game. Horse archers are really good in Medieval 2, and your location is just outright better. Constantinople is the richest city in the game, and you're able to take it fairly quick, if you choose to. Also, you're near Jerusalem, which you have to take for the long campaign for every faction, and it gives you a plus 15% public order bonus. Which means it makes dealing with distance from capital penalties, base unrest, and religious differences a lot easier to deal with. On top of the fact that the Eastern Mediterranean is just really rich and helps you make a lot of money, even without Constantinople, but getting Constantinople just is great. And after you take out the Byzantines, you have a lot of room to expand into Italy, into Hungary, even into Romania. Now, the reason why the Turks aren't number 1 is mostly because of where the Timurids and the Mongols spawn. They can spawn over here, and for newer players, they can struggle a little bit with the Mongols and the Timurids. But they're not super hard, and, well, for me, granted, in Medieval 2, I have 5,000 hours played, and I have beaten Medieval 2 on every difficulty as every faction in each of its expansions. One other aspect that makes the Turks a really, really easy faction is because you have the jihad mechanic and you don't have to deal with the Pope, which is the main reason why England isn't number 1. Call jihad whenever you want. Basically, fairly easy to do. Don't have to deal with the Pope. And you have a potential ally in Egypt in the south. So anyway, let's get into the easiest faction in Total War. Alright, the easiest faction in the entire history of the Total War franchise is Macedon in the Alexander expansion for Rome Total War. Now, why is this easy? It's because the other 2 or 3 playable factions in this expansion just really suck. The Persians you can conquer entirely by auto-resolve. You don't have to fight them. The Barbarians, while having, in my opinion, a slightly better roster, you still don't even have to fight the battle unless you just want to, which personally I like fighting the battles. In my Total War campaigns, I don't fight all of them, but I do fight a good amount of the larger battles. And, like, it's just easy. You can beat this campaign in an hour and a half. Even on a hard difficulty. Very hard, the fastest I've been able to do it is just over 2 hours. And, unfortunately, unless you use a mod, you can't do full map completion because the game ends if I take another city, which is unfortunate. And you can't even come over here unless you use a mod to take Taxila, which is just, honestly, it's fine. But anyway, this has been my list for the top 5 easiest factions to play in Total War. Let me know your list down in the comments and if you agree with me or not. And peace.